Welcome back to Divine Radio. This past lunar eclipse or full moon lunar eclipse in Libra was pretty intense, at least for me. I wasn't expecting it to be, but I guess that's what kind of happens with full moons and eclipses. Sometimes it can catch you off guard and shake you to your core to some extent. Now, thankfully, what I went through wasn't super soul wrenching, but it was definitely eye opening, is one way of putting it. For those who aren't aware, Libra is all about your relationships and partnerships and just anything associated with working with other people and or interacting, whatever, anything. It could be romantic, social. I keep forgetting I have to be careful how I use my hands. So, it's anything relationship associated. It could be work, business stuff too. And it was so wild because I went from having a really high vibrational week, where I was manifesting things in a way that I've never done it before, just little things, but still enough for me to be like, oh my God, this shit's working. And I was just really excited. And so then when the things that happened over the weekend happened, it was just it knocked me down. And I actually had a physical reaction to a certain situation. And I haven't felt that in years. And the last time I did, it was something really traumatic. So, it was eye-opening because it was showing me that there are aspects that I still just, need to be mindful of as far as people's perception. Even if they're not really doing anything directly to me, but the way they're perceiving me and the reactions that they're having from it. So I'm going to try to avoid going into too many details because I think that's when I get lost and sidetracked. So I'm going to try and keep this going. But yeah, so just now. So it was eye-opening, and to say the very least, the rose-colored glasses regarding a social situation that I've been involved with for the last year were taken off. I was finally, there are elements of it that I'd always noticed. I noticed that it was a very, not completely low vibe, but there were definitely, most of the people there are, they're not doing the work. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of manipulation, a lot of conditioned relationships, and a lot of judgmental relationships, either conditioned in the sense they only want you around when it benefits them in some way, or superficial in the sense that, if just judgmental, if you don't look a certain way, if you don't, it's salsa scene, social salsa scene in LA. That's the scene. So maybe this will make more sense. If you don't dance a certain way, people just won't even give you the time of day, which is crazy. And, it's something I'd always noticed once I'd gotten into it. But, as I started meeting people and kind of building connections and relationships, I was feeling that less and less. I would notice it, but I wasn't feeling it directed at me. And it's still, anyways, it still wasn't, but yeah, some things happened where I just was finally seeing it for what it really is, and it's very cliquey and very judgmental. Some people won't even bother to get to know you, but they'll use you as a pawn in their scheme to, hurt someone else, or they'll make a snap judgment about you based on one night of seeing you and just write you off completely or just talk shit about you. So really immature and childish. So anyways, I think I've spoken on that longer than I really cared to, but yeah, so that rocked me and it kind of knocked me off a little bit. And, but I'm back, and I am coming back with more, more strength, more understanding, knowing that situation is no longer serving me. And even though I was enjoying it up to a certain point, it's just no longer in alignment with my path and the energy that I'm radiating out, you know? So don't be surprised if you look back, if depending on when you're watching this, if you look back and you notice certain relationships kind of coming to an end, or you recognizing that they're no longer good for you. Because honestly, that is what that whole thing was all about, was helping you see things that are no longer serving you, specifically in relationships and connections, and you having to make the choice of whether or not you want to stick around for it. So even though it was painful and, you know, kind of sucked, I'm realizing it's just not the right environment for me anymore, even though I loved dancing. So yeah, maybe you're wondering why I'm talking about that, but it's all kind of all in alignment with the topic for today. Mostly about soul connections, but specifically in like the dating context. You know, I've been notoriously single for majority of my life, and that's not for lack of trying, but I just, you know, I guess I was always just looking for something special, you know, like I guess back then I used to call it the fairy tale romance, and that was like my desire, my mission, I guess you could say, is to have that. And you know, throughout life, you kind of hear, whether from somebody directly saying it to you or telling you, like, you know, that's just a fantasy, that's not real. You hear it enough where you start to question, wait, is that even possible? Is it possible for me? Is it possible for anybody? So yeah, I dated a lot of, I don't want to say, yeah, I dated a lot of guys that were just not in alignment with me, even when I wasn't in like the best alignment. You know, I was making what I believe to be poor choices, but of course, every choice you make always gives you some kind of experience or lesson to learn and grow from. So it's not that I don't regret any of them, but it was definitely challenging and disheartening in many cases. But, you know, once I started working on myself and, you know, finding my self-worth and my value, I was able to, it got easier for me to finally be like, yeah, no, this person's not right, this person's not right, and kind of listening to my intuition. It's not uncommon for me to like be approached by a guy and immediately like my intuition's just like, nope. And I know like that sounds crazy, but every time that I've had that happen, it's never been wrong. Like I'll still give the guy an opportunity, you know, to like, for us to interact and see. And then shortly after, I'm like, no, yeah, I was right. So if you ever have those experiences, don't doubt it. I mean, like I said, give them a chance if you feel like you just want to kind of see and test the water a little bit, but don't feel obligated to stick around longer than is necessary. Because once you get that intuitive hit, that intuitive answer, just trust it, go with it. You know, I've noticed in a lot of people too, you know, there's a lot of inharmonious, disharmonious relationships out there right now. And I know a lot of that is because most people either A, haven't done the work, are completely unaware of it, or they're really just looking for like the bare minimum survival qualities. You know, they want somebody that they're attracted to. That's perfect. Yeah, that's great. We all do. Physically, at least. And then, you know, they want somebody who is, at least for the most part, taking care of themselves or can take care and provide for themselves, you know. Most of the time we usually want somebody who's going to at least be kind and be kind to us and treat us well. You know, very basic, very, very low threshold for what most people are going after. They're also, and they're also looking for things that like common interests, like, do you like football? Do you enjoy Mexican food? Do you, you know, fill in the blank, those very basic surface level aspects of our personalities, our likes and dislikes. And, while it is important to kind of like see where you might connect and vibe on that, I think what happens is so many people are basing the compatibility and like the long-term trajectory of a relationship just based on those things alone. They're not looking at, do we have the same, like, not just values, like of course you want to know at some point, do you want to have kids? Do you want to get married? Like, where do you want to live? Those things, and those should come a little bit later on, depending on who you are. But they're not trying to understand who each other are on like a deeper emotional level. They're not trying to understand, what have you gone through? Who are you? Like, what in your life and your experiences has made you who you are, And I mean, and a lot of that, it takes a certain self-awareness within oneself to even be able to recognize that within themselves before they could even begin to like recognize it in someone else. So, just something I've kind of peeped, and I feel like I keep hearing about more and more people who have been married and divorced, and that all happens like at a young age, and then they're like they're 35, 40 with 2 kids and an ex person, whatever, and that's no shade, that's no judgment or disrespect or anything. Like, it's just an observation I've made. I feel like I'm running into more and more of those circumstances, and then there's me, who's been notoriously single for her entire life, basically, short relationships, like the longest one, which I used to feel really like self-conscious about, was like 9 months, I think, like that. And even then I think that's a stretch. So yeah, so I guess I just kind of have been, looking at how everybody else has like made their decisions in regards to their relationships versus how I have. And, sometimes, I look back and I'm grateful that, the things that didn't work out, well, yeah, just didn't work out. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's, rejection is protection, and rejection is redirection. And any person who is meant to be in your life will stay, and they will accept you and love you and embrace you and honor you exactly as you are in that moment. They're not expecting you to be some perfect ideal that they've set up in their mind, at least, well, ever, but not initially either, like, they're not expecting you to look a certain way at all times or act a certain way at all times. And just kind of put that unnecessary pressure on yourself, on you to fit into what their idea of the mate or the partner that they want to have. And yeah, I'm getting a little lost here, but let's see if I can bring it back. Yeah, the person that if you're looking for that kind of special connection, that person is going to love you and accept you and appreciate you for everything that you are, for all those little quirks and weird tendencies, and even like your messiness or your, whatever. Again, fill in the blank. They will love you for all of that. They will accept you for all of that. They will be able to have a open, honest communication with you, or conversation with you in regards to anything. Like, they're not going to threaten to leave you. They're not going to, throw threats your way in an attempt to manipulate you back into the relationship, or manipulate you to act the way they want you to act. They'll be able to, not only be able to, they'll want to sit down and have that real, open, honest, transparent conversation where you're both trying to understand each other's side, and you can work through it and move forward together, and yeah, I think that's where a lot of people are struggling as far as this stuff goes. I think another bug got in my eye, guys. Oh my goodness. It's okay. It's better than it was the day before. I think that's where a lot of people are struggling right now. And it's not their fault. Well, not entirely. They do make these choices. They do have the choice to improve and make changes within themselves and kind of educate themselves on certain things. But not everybody gets that exposure. And in some cases, maybe they're not even meant to in this life. It just depends where their soul's at on their journey. But this is what happens when I go down my little mind rabbit hole. So yeah, I think that's why we're just seeing not only more separations, divorces, etc., but just a lot of the game playing, guys and girls, it goes both ways. Because at one point in time, if not many times before, they've put themselves out there and with their heart open, and they got hurt and they got burned because the other person wasn't emotionally intelligent enough or emotionally mature enough to really be in that relationship and to understand how to make it work. Of course, again, there's what's the word? Excuses, exceptions. There it is. The exceptions to it all, So, all right. Yeah. So, there's always exceptions to the rules, but I'm speaking in a general sense. I think in most cases, all of us have either experienced something like this or have someone we know who's been through this kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that, so many of us are having to go through these like painful, sometimes toxic and even traumatic experiences in something that's supposed to be like, it's supposed to feel like home. Like the person you're with is supposed to not only like support you emotionally, mentally, etc., all the areas that one wants and needs support in, but it's creating even more wounds within a lot of these people, which is why this cycle just keeps kind of perpetuating itself. And thankfully I recognized it at a certain point and have listened to my intuition and listened to and just know, and I know what I want to, and I know what I'm not willing to tolerate, and I think that's kind of the first step. Even if you've been through all this stuff and all these different experiences that were really like, that just hurt you and like, knock the wind out of you. The best thing you can do is continue to work on yourself. Start really putting together in your mind, on paper, whatever works for you, and what it is you want and what it is you are not willing to like tolerate, or just what doesn't resonate with you, and from there you'll be able to make these decisions a little bit more quickly. I've got one little example that happened this weekend when all the rose-colored glasses came off with the salsa scene. But I was out at salsa on Thursday and just out kind of enjoying my drink, taking a break because I was dancing a ton. And this guy comes up and starts chatting with me, and immediately, it's, you could tell he's interested or seems to be interested in. He offers to buy me a drink. We do that, and then a few minutes later, he's like, "Well, I gotta go, but let's get together." So we get together over the weekend, and honestly, like, I didn't even need to go out with him to like know, but there's always that part of me that's like, well, give him a chance. You had like a 5-minute conversation, so don't make too quick of a judgment, and also, who knows, whatever that experience might be. So yeah, you never know what you might learn from the experience, you know? And anyways, yeah, so, you know, he was just, I don't know. Let me back up real quick, actually, because I think what was interesting was, or the point I want to make real quick is that, like, when you're out there trying to be a conscious dater, you know, like, you know that you've done the work, you know what you're looking for, you know what you want, you know, it is easier to, like, determine whether or not somebody is right for you or is doing the same thing. But what has been, I think, confusing for a lot of people who are trying to find that, like, soulmate, divine counterpart connection is that the terms like energy and vibe and those things have become so trendy, and I hear so many people use them, especially like on social media, out in LA specifically, where, you know, they talk the talk to some extent, but they don't fully walk the walk, you know, like, again, it's just become so trendy. And until you are able to, until you've done the work and you kind of know what it really looks like, feels like, is like, as far as somebody who's doing the work themselves, it's easy to get, like, lost in that. So I guess I just wanted to make that point, because I think a lot of us have struggled with that, you know. I mean, I have at different points, obviously, but I feel like I'm seeing that more and more. So just keep that in mind, you know, like, just because somebody says, like, oh, I like your vibe, or your energy feels so good, or whatever, like, give it a minute, give it some time, because honestly, depending on where you're at, they're going to be saying a lot more that resonates with you than just vibe and energy. And those are the only two words that are coming to mind. But I brought that up because this guy that I, you know, kind of went out for drinks with, those were some of the words he was using when we first met, you know. And I was like, okay, let's give it let's see what this is, you know. I mean, again, at the very least, it's going to be an experience, a learning and growing experience for me. But actually, in hindsight, I realized it was a test, and I think I passed it, which I'm proud of. But yeah, so I go out, I meet up with him, and honestly, I just wasn't excited, you know. Like, he even asked me, like, right before I went out, he messaged me. He's like, "So, are you excited to see me?" And, like, I was just like, no. In my mind, I was no, but I didn't want to say that, and I was just like, I'm more curious to see how the conversation and the energy goes, you know, and da da da. And I'll try and sum this up because there were just so many little things, but, like, literally left and right, just little red flags, you know, that were just popping up. Like, red flags for me, telling me he's not everything that he presents himself as. And here's how I think it was a test, is that on paper, a lot of the things that he would bring up or say, I mean, are ultimately things that I do want to have with my person, but there was no actual, like, soul spiritual conversation or connection. You know, he was asking me, like, he would compliment me, like, he was complimenting me on my wisdom, and, you know, complimenting me for those kinds of things, and not just, like, the physical stuff. And then you know, he's asking me a bunch of questions, and then was like, you know, do you want to have kids? And which, of course, I mean, again, yes, I do, but, like, when I'm already not feeling the vibe, and then this is what this guy is, like, coming up and asking me, like, straight off the bat, like, he's not asking me, like, what's your, you know, like, what's your journey been like, what have you overcome, like, da da da, you know, and or anything along those lines, that are trying to look deeper than just, like, what are these surface level things that you want in your life, you know. And then I remember at one point he asked me, like, so do you like to cook? And I'm like, that for me is, like, a huge red flag, in the sense, it depends how it comes across, but, like, to him, the way he said it and the way he was making it sound was like, in his heart, his intentions was that I would be, like, the one cooking for him, like, all the time. And then I actually just said, like, not, just like, look, like, I enjoy cooking, but, like, I don't want that in a relationship where I'm, like, the, you know, stuck doing all, like, I'm expected to do all of the traditional female roles and da da da. And anyways, yeah. So kind of called him out on that. But yeah, and, like, then he was, like, trying to be, like, affectionate. You know, he's buying all my drinks. He paid for my parking. You know, and he was trying to be affectionate, like hold my hand when we were walking through to the bar and shit like that. And I was just like, I deep down knew that like, I don't know, this doesn't feel right. And so I wasn't trying to like feed into that. So I didn't. And, anyways, I think I've made the point. There were just several things that he was doing where I was just like, yeah, no, this is not, he's not who he's presenting himself to be. It felt like he was presenting this facade of what he thought I wanted. But what he didn't realize is that I can see through that facade, and that what I want is going to be an instant understanding, connection, appreciation on both sides mutually, like, but yeah, he was just coming on too strong. He told me at some point I'd meet his parents. It was so much, and I just had to laugh, but I made the best of it, and was able to go home and at least be like, yep, nope, not the one. And kind of backing it up to the whole relationship eclipse thing, like these are the kinds of interactions and experiences that you can expect to have during this time, because it's all about like not only letting go of what's no longer serving you that maybe has been in your life, but it's also being able to like recognize and not repeat the same cycles that you've done in the past. And what I've done in the past is I would meet somebody, not feel that vibe or that connection, but still be like, well, let's give him a chance. Like maybe I made my judgment too quickly or whatever, when like my heart and soul was like, nope, not it. Move on. Like no, don't waste any time. Just get out, And so again, when I made that whole, like when I had that full confirmation and realization that like, yeah, no, this isn't it, I literally texted him the next day. He sent me a message in the morning of him. Yeah, I won't even say it. He sent me a message in the morning that like, I think he thought some girls would be like super like, oh my God. And I was just so turned off, and like even more like, okay, yeah, now is the time. And I was like, hey, look, this is great. You're a great guy. I can tell you're a great guy, but like, I'm not feeling that connection, And, okay, so I want to add this. I was thinking about it on my walk down from the hike, and, just felt like it was important maybe for somebody to hear. It's just a little advice. So when I was messaging, as I'm talking about just before, messaged him, let him know, hey, look, I just don't feel that deeper connection, And he responded with, I thought we had a connection. And then right after was like, I hope you find what you're looking for too. Because I said something along those lines, like, hey, look, I'm not feeling it, but I really hope you find what you're looking for. So, his response, I honestly should have just said, thank you so much. Please take care, something along those lines. But of course, me, I decided to respond to his first sentence, which was about the connection thing, because it's like, people pleasing / caring a little too much, and also just like somebody who likes to kind of over explain sometimes. Anyways, so I said, well, there was like a little connection, but like nothing, not what I'm looking for. Went into this whole long, like saying like, I'm looking for something deeper, And, and I thought hopefully that would be it. That'd be it. Nope. He responded, well, you need more than an hour to feel that deeper connection. And if we're going to get technical, it was 2 hours. I gave him plenty of time to kind of show me who he was. And yeah, I mean, I just went in and said, well, no, I know what I'm going to feel. I know I'm going to feel like there's going to be an instant mutual connection on both sides. The conversation's flowing easy. I don't even know if I said that, but that's what I'm thinking in my mind. I said something along those lines. So with all that said, my arm's getting tired. Oh my goodness. With all that said, when you're responding and letting somebody down who you just aren't feeling that connection to, especially if it's like you guys went out once or twice or a few times, whatever, but you finally recognize that's not what you want, and they're not your person, always be kind, always be compassionate, and whatever, supportive, but keep it short, simple, and sweet. Okay, like don't do what I did. Don't over explain it, because then that can just lead to, like, maybe if you're anything like me, you'll kind of like start to question it and be like, well, maybe I didn't give him enough time, but it's like, no, I've done this, I played this game long enough. I know what's right for me and what's not. So don't doubt it, don't question it, trust myself, trust my intuition, and I want you to do the same. So keep that in mind if you're in the same situation. Okay, back to your regular viewing schedule. And, I got that closure. I cut those ties. I didn't waste time. And I know it's all preparing me. It's like my way of showing the universe, like, look, I am ready for that kind of connection. And I'm not willing to put up with or sacrifice with something or someone that just I know is not aligned. So I hope that example maybe helps you in some ways. I tried to sum it up and keep it as short and precise as I could. But I just think, I think it's important for us to all to have these kinds of conversations, especially if you are like a awakened, conscious soul who, wants that deeper soul level connection with a partner, with a romantic partner, but also just people in general, and I'm hoping that by kind of giving that example, it'll give you a little insight into how you can handle that next situation if you're kind of in that cycle, but yeah, I mean, you can't judge people for where they're at, and if you know that something just isn't right, like don't waste any more of your time or their time on it. It's only gonna make things harder when the time comes when you really are like, I can't do this anymore. And that's something that took me a long time to get to, like, without giving my whole life relationship story. Like, for me to be at this point where I can not only recognize it instantly and respond and handle it instantly with kindness and compassion too, like, it's taken me a long time to get there. And if you're not there, I know you can get there, just keep trusting the process, keep doing the work within yourself and on yourself to get to a place where you can recognize those things right away. Let's see, anything else? I don't want to drag this out too long. Yeah, not really sure, but just keep, like I said, keep doing the work on you. Keep finding your authentic self and letting it shine, and keep building up that confidence, not only just within yourself, but in your ability to recognize what is and isn't for you, and don't be afraid to speak it. Speak your truth, Again, you don't have to play games with people, because both people end up getting hurt in it, so don't play games. Don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. Because here's the thing, if something is truly meant for you, even if you maybe don't feel it right away, which, again, we all have our own experiences, even if you don't feel it right away, if something's meant to be in your life, whether it's just a temporary experience, it will keep coming back to you. Or let me be careful with that, because there's people who will try and keep coming back, but you have to keep setting your boundaries. If something's meant for you, it won't leave you. And honestly, let me just scratch everything I just said. If you're meant to be with somebody long term, like if that's what you want and that's what you're looking for, you guys will find the ability to work through anything. And there won't be the confusion and the worries, the doubts, the insecurities. Like, are they talking to somebody else? Is there someone else involved? Are they trying to, present a facade, lie to me, manipulate, whatever? There won't be any of that. Like, in a truly divinely connected relationship, there won't be any of that, and that's actually been actually like a great tool for me to use. I used it with that guy that I, went out for drinks with this past weekend where, you know, because I was having doubts, that little bit of like, well, maybe I'm just not whatever. Maybe I'm not giving him enough time. But like, I was like, no, no, no. I know that what I want and what is intended for me, I will know and feel it immediately. I'm not saying like, you know, well, I'm not saying like, it's going to be love at first sight necessarily, but it could be, because that's something that I've wanted. But there's going to be this easiness and this fluid comfortability with not only being in each other's energy, but the conversation, and it's going to be stimulating. And like, I trust in that that's what's destined for me, because that's what I put out into the world. And I haven't done all this work to not have that experience, and so, yeah. So if you're feeling a lot of doubt and worry and like uncertainty around a certain person, especially if you have really like gotten to know who you are and done the healing work, you're continually working on yourself, and you're feeling that, trust it. That's another sign. That's another clue that what's in front of you isn't necessarily right for you, at least not long term. So if you're out there single and looking for your divine counterpart, like I'm here for you. I'm right there with you. I'm on the same journey. Just don't settle, and don't sacrifice, and don't give up. Just keep believing and trusting that when the time is right, they will come into your life, and it's going to be magical. Like, you're going to realize, this is what I've been waiting for. Everything else that I've been through, it's in the past, and that's it. You won't question or doubt a single thing. You'll just know it's right and it's meant to be. So stay strong, keep doing your thing, keep just living your life with like, love, compassion, and shining your light bright for yourself, not for anybody else, just for you. And when you do that, that's when you start bringing in and attracting the people that are meant to stay. So yeah. All right, guys, I'll see you later.